any use that we do of any animal has led to abuse, exploitation, massacre, all those things that we should avoid. And the vegan movement is an emancipation movement, So it's like, well, we shouldn't think of animals as resources, just so that they are free from human use, human
Yeah.
exploitation.
Yeah, and I agree for the most part, even to probably an extreme. I probably I probably feel that more than say your average vegan actually, even though I view the definition slightly different because I think your average vegan probably is not against animal ownership like pets. It's becoming more and more popular to be against breeding, but that owning rescue animals is perfectly fine, and I'm not in favor of this, and because I don't think we should exploit animals. I don't think humans should pretty much have any contact with animals aside from if you're out in nature going on a hike and you see an animal. If a bird flies up and lands on your finger, that's fine. But anything where we use force, for the most part, I am against if possible. Yeah.
So you don't think that regarding animals as chattel property is wrong?
No. I don't think we should have them as property at all.
Because that's one of the pillars of veganism. We shouldn't think of animals as property.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you think that we should have pets?
No.
Oh, okay. I
No.
wasn't sure because a lot of people are on the fence with that.
We can maybe help animals that are in need and give them a home or live with them. But pets is like a term that we use them for our own benefit. Like, okay, I want to have some companionship, so I buy, or you know, uh, I go out and take some animal and keep the animal as property. And
Yeah.
that is not vegan, according to the
Mhm.
definition of the founders of the movement.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I would feel that even the helping and keeping would be something like that. Now, I don't want to come across extreme. I'm not saying that should be a top focus necessarily. I don't know exactly what we should do with rescue animals, but when you have an animal that is in your house and the doors are shut, the windows are shut, that animal cannot leave. It might be the best thing for that animal in that moment, but it is still us keeping it by force. And I would say that in most cases, it's for our own gain.
If it is for our own gain, then that would fit into the category of exploitation. But if we are just trying to help the animal, I don't think it's exploitation.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder how we would break that down and know for sure. Like, I wonder. Um, yeah. Well, one of the complicated elements of it is that it kind of puts it in demand by showing something that somebody might enjoy. Like we might be against breeding dogs to sell them, but if we own a dog that we rescued and this is a cute dog and people see you with this dog, they go, oh, I want to go buy my own dog. And so I think that we kind of normalize it. It's funny because I am going the route you were going where it's about the slippery slope, where it's like the issue isn't the problem, it's what it leads to. And it's the normalizing it. It makes people go, oh, it's okay to own these animals and it's so cute and I want one. And I have this same issue because I have 3 rescue guinea pigs and I post too much about them on social media. I probably shouldn't because then people will go to the store and they'll buy these guinea pigs and then they're in demand and they'll get so really I think if people rescue animals they probably shouldn't show them off and even then in the long run I don't think pets should exist at all. Like I don't think animal, like, I don't just mean the word pet. I mean animals that are domesticated. I don't think they should exist unless they can be rewilded or however that's worded.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I don't know about the rewilding thing, but I don't think animals as companionship should exist.
Okay.
Maybe in a vegan future, maybe they will go extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think that it's a slippery slope if it has already happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that encourages it. So if you take your dog to the dog park and your dog is a rescue dog and somebody witnesses you and that dog and they think it's cute and they want to buy that breed of dog for their own personal gain, then I think it's a demand, like it just adds to the demand. But what's the alternative? I don't know if there's a better alternative. There'd have to be a law in place to make it a better alternative. So I don't know.
Okay. So do you think it's okay if it's a stray dog with no recognizable breed?
No, I mean, there would still be the same issue if you normalize owning this animal and it makes somebody want to own one. I don't know how much that would cut down on the purchasing of animals by not showing them off. But I think one of the biggest problems with animal ownership is them living poor lives. So I would rather the animal be out running around at a big dog park or something than to be cooped up at the house just to not have other people see it. I don't know, but maybe it's better just to euthanize them all if they're all domesticated. I really don't know. But what I can say is, as long as we keep them like as rescue pets, it will be so normalized that it'll be harder to get away from the ownership. I think the if we want there to be no animals owned as pets, the best thing to do is to refrain from having animals as pets, even rescued ones, just to have that strong stance. And I'll give you a quick example of why I think so. I always compare this to American slavery. If I was around in the 1700s in the South and there was a bunch of slaves being sold and I was against slavery, but I had millions of dollars and I could just easily buy a slave or two and say, hey, I'm against slavery. I can't legally really free you or anything, but I'm going to buy you and you can just live at my house. You can eat. I'll get you all the food you want. You'll have the greatest life that you can in this world where slavery exists. And you'll just have this great time. And I think most people would say that's the good route to go. If you can do that, that's better than them going to a slave owner that's going to whip them and kill them. But the problem is you're putting them in demand. You're buying one or two slaves, and then the people that go and figure out how many slaves they sold, therefore how many they need to go get from Africa, they're going to need that many more. And so they're going to keep breeding more slaves and bringing more slaves over. And the easiest way to show I don't support this at all is to not partake.
So you don't reject slavery per se.
Explain that further.
So if the treatment is good, you can have a slave, and treat him or her well. And,
no, I'm saying not to do that. Like,
okay, yeah, that's the vegan position with animals. We shouldn't have animals as slaves or as slaves or property or commodities or property or commodities or slaves.
Yeah, I mean, I think they essentially are. Now, I know Most people I know that have pets, they love them. The ones that have rescue animals. I'm just using the word pet, but I'm referring to like rescue animals as well. But they love them. They only have them because they want to rescue them. They treat them as well as they can. But I don't think there's an example where it should be done. I mean, maybe it should be done versus other things, but I don't think it's in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's good, but I do not know what the right option is. Yeah.
So if you have a child and you keep the child cooped up, is that exploitation? If it's for the child's benefit, or not getting lost, or not getting kidnapped, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would just come down to opinion. I talked about this on an earlier talk today, where there's a lot of studies and books about helicopter parenting, where if you don't want your kid to get kidnapped or whatever, or hit by cars, you keep them in the house. But then the overall well-being of the kid, they're not going to be really good at socializing and knowing how to do well in the world. So I think that's more of a complicated thing where a parent just has to, hopefully read up on it, care about their kid, and do their best. But on something that small of a detail of inside versus outside, it'd be hard to judge, I think.
Okay, but I don't mean all the time. It's just at the times that you deem that it's reasonable, reasonable to keep the child protected, and not allow the child to go out, for example, at night or whatever.
Oh, I see. No, that seems like a good thing to do to protect them.
Yeah, because that's what we do with dogs. For example, if I have a rescue dog, maybe I wouldn't leave the door open so that the dog gets lost.
Yeah.
Gets lost.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that, we've domesticated these animals, so we've made them to where they can't survive in the wild. But if they're with us, then we kind of have to force them to live somewhat of hard lives, because we don't want them to get ran over by cars. We don't want them to be out at night, all these things. So they're essentially trapped inside of this house. Now, I don't know. I don't want to compare a dog to humans. I think myself, it's horrible to be trapped in a house. We learned this during the pandemic. We want to get out and do all kinds of things. And so I imagine dogs don't want to just have this one backyard that they're in 99% of the time, and one house that they're in 99% of the time. And, but it's complicated because they might live longer as rescue pets than they would if they were wild animals out in the wild. But I don't know who we are to make that decision. I think any form of force of an animal to be somewhere is some kind of exploitation. But it's hard when the alternative is it just dying quickly in the wild. If somebody finds an injured panda and a veterinarian nurses it back to health, but it has to stay at some kind of a animal rescue place, because if it went back in the wild, it would get killed instantly. I don't know if that means that we should have animal rescue places and sanctuaries and zoos, friendly zoos, if there is such a thing, and then rescue pets, or if we should just let nature take its course. If we came across an injured animal in nature while we're out filming a documentary, should we try to fix them, or should we just say the animals do what they do and then we do what we do and we don't intervene, if intervening means that we have to own it later?
I don't know. We have to analyze the specific case, but I think it's outside the realm of veganism. It's not exploitation. We are not talking about animal exploitation anymore, and we are talking about moral virtues, maybe not moral obligations, which is what concerns veganism.